Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second episode of the third season, where we got our project up and running in the last episode. As far as now, we have our project in a remote repository on GitHub that now is open to the public. So if you missed that, go ahead and watch that video because there's a whole bunch of like initialization and setup that we did. And then, if you wanted to, you can see the repository being open and pull it down if you want to, if you haven't made this project yet. But in this episode, we're just going to go over some of the more basic commands that we'll end up using, or the, primary commands that you'll be interacting with when using Git. So we're going to go ahead and work just in one branch for now, but we'll eventually get into multiple branches, but basically just any kind of changes here. So let's say for some reason our soccer tile model, we wanted to add, I don't know, win percentage, and it was seen as a string or something like that, right? And so then we added this into our project. We basically made this change to this file. You can actually see this file is blue. You can see this little area over here is blue, and if you click on it, it'll show you basically what it used to look like. And if you hit this little button, you can roll back to this point, which would end up deleting this stuff. Or if you end up doing it yourself, where you just delete it and bring it back to the previous state that soccer tile was in, you see this goes away and now this is no longer blue, so it shows you that there's been no changes to this file. But know that a blue file in Android Studio means that you've made modifications to it somewhere. You can see a little bit of it over here to kind of show you exactly where it is in the file. And yeah, it kind of lets you know of some difference that you've made. Now, if we go ahead and make a new file, and let's just call this soccer tile 2, the first time you add a file to the project, once it has been like declared as a Git project, you'll be prompted with this. 9 times out of 10, probably 10 out of 10, I would do don't ask me again, and then click add. But essentially, let me not do that, and I'll show you what happens here. So see how this file is red? That means that it is unversioned and Git doesn't know about it, but it knows that it's like a new file that it's not tracking, let's say. So you can actually see here in the commit pane, which will hold all of the changes to basically that Git has detected. In the unversioned files, there's this file right here. So if we were to delete this file, because no one's using it, and we're going to go ahead and just create it again, you'll get this prompt and whatnot. And if you click add, now it goes from red to being green. And that would be the same thing if we were to hover over this file. You can see that it's red. You can right click on it, find the Git, and click add. And this will go ahead and actually add the file to Git and have it be tracked. And this operation, along with many of the other ones that we're going to be doing, are actually controlled under the hood by like the command line, git space add space, whatever the name of your file is. So actually, if we go ahead and just run that, we can say git add, oh boy, we got to go all the way down, don't we? Android Factory, EPL, soccer tile 3.kt. Now you'll see that it went from red to green right over here. So you can actually go ahead and, this is super annoying because you got to go all the way down to the location of the file. But you can, do it that way, or if we were going to go ahead and delete it and then, create it again, you saw before, we can just right click on it and click, add, or in this case, probably the best thing to do, don't ask me again, and add. So that means that any new file that you end up making at this point is just going to automatically be added to Git. You're not going to get prompted for that again. You're going to see that it's green, and you're just going to know that that means that it's, has been created. So blue file means that it has been modified, and Git, is watching it. There's some kind of a difference between that file and the previous version of that file. Green means that it has been added to Git, and it basically is a new file that it is watching at this moment in time but wasn't previously. And then a red file means that it's unversioned, that it's not actually being watched by Git, and it knows that it's not watching it, but it's not watching it. It's kind of weird. But sometimes it does make sense to not add things to Git. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but just kind of going to show you, why things might change in color and whatnot. So, well, maybe let's not. Let's bring back Soccer Tile 2 as a class, and then we're like, okay, we've made our changes here, this is true, we've now added this, and I don't know, let's say in, for this particular one, we're going to say, I don't know, 66% or something like that, right? And so now we've modified it in a few places, and now it makes sense, and we're going to say, okay, we're going to go ahead and commit this. We can hit Command K to bring up this window, or you can do VCS git no, sorry, it's right here. Commit as just like a top level thing to do in version control, or you can actually do this little check mark that's here. So whichever one you want to do, I do Command K just because it's fastest and you'll end up remembering it. This file, don't worry about it. This was from the last one, something we did in the last episode, but just realize here that, it sees modifications to these files and it adds this new one here. And actually, if any of these are highlighted, you can do Command D to diff, and you can actually now see the difference. And in this case, it's trivial. There's just one thing that we've changed, but you can see here this was how it looked at this particular commit. So basically this is what it started as, and now this is what it currently is, and so here are the differences, and you can see exactly what changed. The comma was added and the win percentage thing was here as well. It's here says one difference as well, so you can kind of just very quickly take a look at, what changed. Oh, okay, we added a new field, blah, blah, blah. But here we have our little commit window open. Again, it tells you the branch you're on, 2 added, 2 modified, makes a lot of sense. And then here's your commit message. You kind of want to make this meaningful without talking about it in some, like ridiculous length. Provide enough information so that you understand why the changes were made, and if it fixes a bug, or if it's just an enhancement to something, or whatever the case is. And then later on, when you end up getting to, or if you end up working for like a large tech firm, they're going to have strict guidelines on exactly what your commit messages should look like, and especially if they end up being public facing to the world, you're going to want to see like in the release logs and in the commits like what actually happened. So there's got to be a structure to them. But if you're just doing stuff for your own sake in the project, doing a commit message like this isn't really going to help you, because when you're looking back through your changes and you see this, you're going to be like, what the hell was that? Like, how am I supposed to know what happened here? So we'll give a brief description here saying, updated soccer tile. It also kind of does that where if you start typing something, it'll bring up things that match it, and so you can kind of reference those files easily. Updated soccer tile KT to have win percentage in the model. Updated main activity to add win percentage to one team. You know, and then you could put, you know, added with the other one, or we're going to end up removing that in a bit, so it's not meaningful. But anyway, we can go ahead and just commit this, and at this point we've now basically like saved our work. We've stamped, you know, okay, this moment in time is, you know, this is the new norm for this file, this is the new norm for this file, and then anything that you do in here is going to be tracked as, you know, changes to the file now. So it kind of just, you know, you like progress linearly in your Git history, and you can actually see here, you know, our first commit, we pushed all this stuff in there, and then the second one, you know, we said, okay, we updated this, and we added it to one of the teams, and then you can see what was actually changed. And again, if you highlight one of these and Command D, you can see the differences and stuff like that. So that's super helpful. But you'll notice here there's a couple tags that go along with it, and so we're not going to worry about head at the moment. That's just like where you are, or where the Git head is at this very moment. But you'll see that you're also on the master branch, and then the purple one is origin/master. So if we actually take a look, I'm just going to go ahead and remove that. If we go ahead and take a look here, if we refresh this page, it still just says first commit. We can drill into our soccer tile file. Notice we don't have soccer tile 2, and we only have soccer tile, and it doesn't have at the end here that other win percentage field. And you can see here it actually depicts that as well, and it's telling you that at this point in time in your history, that's where origin/master is. And in this case, in our case, origin/master is our EPL repository that's on our account. So it's telling you that it's back here, and yet you've committed, and your current local master is ahead of the remote branch's master, or the remote repository's master. And if you see here this little green dot as well, and then it turns into this little green arrow, that also means that it says there are outgoing commits, but this means that you're ahead of master, and that you should, or that you can push this to the remote repository, and then your files will be saved. So if you try to commit something here, you know, there's absolutely nothing here to commit. It tells you the change list. There's nothing. It doesn't detect anything, and you can't really, you know, click on any of these because it's grayed out. But what you can do, how we got Command K to get that window open, you can do Command Shift K, and this opens the push window, which now shows you what branch you're on currently and where you're going to push it to, origin, and what branch you're going to push it to as well. And then you can see this is our, you know, commit message, and then these are the changes that we've made to that. And so if we go ahead and click push, it'll work. It'll do its thing, pushing, pushing, pushing. Pushed one commit to origin/master. And then if we reload this page, you'll see win percentage is down here. If we back up a little bit, you'll now see soccer tile 2 is here, and you'll see this mix of commit messages, right? Where on these other files, it's holding the very first commit message, but then on these other ones where we updated them, they have this new commit message. And you can see here there's a difference in time between 3 minutes and 18 minutes. So it kind of, you know, tracks everything that you're doing and everything that you tell Git to track. And then, you know, here you can click into that specific commit, and you'll actually be able to see at this point, you know, we removed this line, which, you know, we didn't, but we removed that line, and then we added these 2 lines, which really means that we just made this modification. Same thing here, you know, we made a modification and then we added a class. So at this point in time, and you can kind of see the app folder has this other commit message, the more recent one, you can kind of see that these 2 things are in connection with one another. And now if we were to take a look at our Git log over here, we still have our first commit, but now at this point this tag has moved up, and now it says that everything, master, origin master, and head are all at this location and time, basically, so we're all in sync kind of thing. Really, really, really good stuff. So this was just a brief introduction to committing and to pushing, and also, kind of discuss the different kinds of or the different types of files, or changes or unversion files and that kind of stuff. So we'll go ahead and just continue this on in the next episode, but thanks for stopping by. I hope that it's starting to make sense, and how you can, I think as we continue on with this, you'll see how powerful Git can be, and then just how useful it is when you start working with more than one developer on the same project, and how things are just going to end up merging together. So I'll see you in the next one.